I'm great. How are you?
Did you fix your hair?
I think so. What is that? See, now you're making me feel self-conscious about this. Is this gaslighting? Girl keeping or gate bossing? Wait, gate bossing. Oh my God, what a great day. I'm so ready to film. How are you doing today, Daddy? Wow, you look gorgeous.
Thank you, you too.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Roll the opening before I say something else stupid. Hello! Welcome back to
What's Safeword?
I'm Am.
I'm Mr. Christopher.
And today,
we're doing the pros and cons of the con.
between the two of us, we travel a lot for conventions, and between the two of us, we have somewhere around like 30, 40 years of experience going to, attending, running, vending, and just partaking in sex conventions.
I always think it's weird when they call it a con because it sounds like someone's trying to swindle you. Well, did you go to that con?
All the pro-doms go to that con. Yeah, that's how it works, you know.
Swindle you.
Uh-oh.
I see.
No, please don't. Actually, do tie me up and put me on the railroad tracks. Ooh. And as the nature of our show goes, we use our experiences, our negatives, our positives to your advantage and share not only life lessons, but hopefully anecdotes and stories that help you navigate the kinky world and sex-positive realm that we live in. I used to run anime conventions as like a con head. We have vending experience with Mr. S at a number of things, and we've also attended many a thing too.
A con head.
I'll give you some con head.
So today we're doing an Ask blank anything all about sex conventions.
I was doing an interpretive dance for you.
That was great.
And we have a weekly audio podcast we've been doing, especially recently, where we've been doing convention after convention after convention. From sex conventions to rubber conventions to most recently a furry convention, which honestly was one of my favorites. So in today's episode, I posted this on Twitter and I said, we're officially packed from Darklands. What questions do you have about sex events, sex clubs, or sex conventions? And your questions, well, they weren't full of cons. They were all very pro-sex. They were good sex positive questions.
Pro-con.
Pro-con. What's a pro-con?
It's like a pro-dom, but a con.
We are pro-con.
We're a pro-con.
God, this is... First question.
Any question?
First question from Spaceman asks, did anyone try to on that candelabra? Well.
I think they wanted to use the hole.
We didn't, but Spaceman, be our guest.
It was like a candle hole.
We did try the gray stuff though in Europe, and it was delicious.
The what?
The gray stuff.
It's delicious. Don't believe me? Ask the dishes.
The first real question though comes from Gay Horror Geek who asks, any tips for a first timer?
Ooh, that's a good one. Don't expect to do everything that's on the agenda. That is almost impossible for you to do.
That's fair. Yeah, don't over encumber yourself. Much like a kink and trying anything new, you want to slowly ease in, add a little bit of lube, but also don't do too many things.
And one other thing I'd recommend is going with a friend. That gives you someone to talk to and experience those things together. It adds a little more enjoyment than trying to do everything by yourself.
Ooh. Also, bring a bag. Bring a grab bag. The number of times that going to and from or between things and having actually, get a Grumpy Daddy bag. If you'd like. No, for real though, you can keep all the things that you need in there, like for instance, business cards, which we always bring with us. It's actually really nice to catch up with people afterwards.
Your jacket or hoodie, because you want to take those off, but you don't want to carry it around.
Ooh, snacks for when your blood sugar drops.
Yes.
And you never know when you're gonna need like a travel douche or something you can put on a water bottle to get a quick spot check. And, there's one more thing in here.
Oh!
Comes the boy, hello boy.
Ian wants to go.
And a cuddle buddy, I guess, if you need like a hug later on. And while having that person there with you is super helpful, also make sure you guys have like a safe word so you can get out of situations.
And always have your ID on you. You never know when you're gonna be carded.
Yeah, I recommend having one of those little like side holster pockets or something you can like wrap around your ankle. I have my little ankle boot that I use for events. It makes it so easy. I never lose my money, my cash, or my little like hotel card if it's a convention at a hotel.
Do you just really do that so you can put your legs in the air? That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I
I'll
thought.
pay with this ankle. It used to be a thing, you know. People loved ankles back in the day. And a good question to follow up that with from Benji asks, are there any base rules and etiquettes that are important other than, of course, consent?
I think taking pictures, always make sure you have permission to take pictures of the person you're taking pictures of.
We were just at Darklands, for example, which is a huge sex event. Like, there's sex happening all over the place. And progressively more so every year, we see that they have more signs that say, please be mindful of who's in the back of your photos, please have consent, which I honestly really appreciate because it's being mindful that like, yeah, sex is gonna happen in these spaces and it's allowed because there are, you know, everyone's got their IDs, they've been checked, like it's all adults consenting to stuff, but it's still being mindful that like, make sure you have permission or it's a public space you're taking photos in.
And if it's a sex convention and people are playing, don't just feel like you can jump in. Make sure that you've got kind of a verbal or an eye welcoming you into that scene.
It should be more of an enthusiastic involvement that you were clearly being invited to, and that's more than just a look, you know, that is a come on over here, a yes, get involved. But also, I think if you're going to a sex club or a convention or anything like that, you should use what is called a bid.
200.
Yes, you down in front, I have 250.
300.
Well, I have 300 likes.
5,000.
Oh, 5,000 likes, what? And a bid stands for boundaries, intentions, and desires, especially for sex-related things. Make sure you know what your boundaries are and be able to verbally communicate those when people ask.
And intentions are the mindset that sets the tone for your experience.
A desire is something that you want to experience but doesn't need to happen. It's not a goal, but it's like a little bonus if it happens to happen, and also a very sexy character in Sandman.
Was I really that obvious?
And something that did come up in the thread, a lot of questions that you guys had was like con staff and how we like know that people are following the rules. If there's ever an instance of someone that you think is not following the rules, shouldn't be there, or is doing something bad, look for people in badges, look for con staff, look for people with clipboards, and maybe even someone with like a high-vis jacket, although someone might actually be in a high-vis jacket as their fetish gear, so just double check.
If you're in doubt, look for the person's manning the door.
When in doubt, look for the butt that's not out, as my mom always said.
Did your mom really say that?
Yeah, she did. She loves sex conventions. Good question. On to the next from Goth Disco Gnome, who asks,
Have you been to a goth convention?
not with a disco gnome, no. Samson, can you edit in a goth disco gnome right here, please? Whoa! What tips do you have for people who want to play but are incapable of telling when someone is flirting with them or not? Let's do a workshop. Okay, let's workshop it out. Okay, I'm over here. I'm just minding my own, I'm like, just, you know, kind of vibing. I'm cruising, as it were. Okay, you're interested in me, but I can't tell, you know?
So,
Well, the sky mostly, but
he's not interested. Eye contact is huge for telling if someone is interested. If they don't break your gaze, they're probably interested.
don't break my gaze.
Don't be psycho-eyes either.
Maybe they're into that though.
But when all else fails, just ask. Want to make out?
Yes!
Yay! Enthusiastic. I love it.
Wow, good sex.
If you think someone is flirting, move closer to them. If they back away or move away from you, they probably aren't.
And if they run away, then you should chase them.
No,
I'm kidding.
no, that's not right.
I think Ursula said it best when she said body language. You can read signs, you can look, you can see. If you guys make eye contact more than once, you might have a chance. I like this next question from Xander, who asks, do you feel that conventions encourage new kinks or new ways to enjoy older kinky fun? Meaning, are conventions providing a space for people to explore? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Again, at Darklands, which we just went to, there was entire spaces for just puppy players, there were entire spaces that were just for the ABDL crew, and they were all fitted in a really fun, colorful way that fit the kink.
And they also had the place for the old guard. They had a full bluff sit-down dinner. As we're losing our bars and our neighborhoods, events and cons are becoming the places we meet and mingle.
And providing a space for people to feel comfortable to try new things, but also maybe get back into the older kinks they haven't done for a bit, because again, it does provide a wonderful space that provides representation and the permission for some people to just get into it.
And we have been doing this for a few years, and we have seen each event get larger and larger and larger exponentially over the last 5-6 years.
Sorry, events or toys?
You're hilarious.
I think so. This next question from Terrible Lotus actually goes into a very interesting realm, and they ask, don't most states have laws about public sex? How do sex conventions get around that? Or is it just not an issue? Is it a private event and therefore not public?
That's a good question because a lot of US-based conventions are not sex conventions. They don't have sex out in public. You can run around in a jockstrap, you can wear your sexy things, but you need to take it back to your room to have the sex.
Because there are laws in place, not only around decency, but like if there's alcohol in the area. And that's why a lot of even sex clubs or more play clubs, BDSM dungeons that are public, you do have to provide your ID, but even then you're not allowed to really have sex in there. You can do all sorts of debaucherous things, you can have yourself naked, but you can't masturbate, you can't penetrate. That said, at Darklands, overseas in Antwerp.
Well, that's because it's European. European have different sets of rules about sex in public.
And it was a private event space that you did have to, check in, have your ID and all that good stuff. But ultimately, every state is a little bit different depending on your clubs and bars. So just know the regulations because like in San Francisco, you can be naked just about anywhere.
But I think that's a good point. I think that's a myth. I think people think that IML, MAL, all these American events are sex conventions where people are just having sex everywhere. That's not necessarily true. They're taking it back to their room. Sometimes there's public impact play, sometimes there's public bondage, but it's not penetrative or oral sex.
Yeah, it's just those health codes that block any actual penetration from happening. And while you're checking into the hotel, also make sure that you're checking in to make sure that they have the right amount of pillows and the bed's comfortable. We had a room at Darklands, which was just a closet. Hotel room tour. Okay, here it is. Oh, there's the room. Okay, the tour is over. This room is so small. An actual closet. And then the following week, we had this executive suite because we were the guests of honor at the Furry convention, Texas Fur Fiesta. This makes up for Amsterdam. Hello. We have a table. We have a boardroom table. Oh my, what? No, this is someone else's room. The bathroom is bigger than our bedroom was in Amsterdam. Oh my God. Drastically different, but also not as comfortable as our beds at home.
No, I miss my Helix Sleep mattress.
But everybody travels different, and Helix knows that because they have the Helix Sleep Quiz. Helix Sleep has been one of our longest running sponsors here on the channel, and Helix makes it easy for you to find the mattress for you using their Helix Sleep Quiz.
For you, yourself, or you and a partner. Now again, you can do for one sleeper or two, enter in their names, their heights, their weights, as well as sleeping positions. So me and Daddy might have different kinds of sleep positions, maybe even firmness preferences. And if you happen to be like us, who are a little older, we do have body aches and pains that we can also specify. Lord knows my knees will never be the same since COVID. But we ended up with a what, Daddy? A dusk?
Lux!
And Daddy, how are you enjoying it?
I love my Dust Lux. Say that 3 times fast.
Dust
Lux.
Lux.
Dust Lux.
Oh.
Dust Lux.
Yep. And since getting our mattresses, I've actually never had sleep that was this good. I had an old mattress that had some springs in it, and because Helix has springs and this lovely cushioning sensation, they're not only the best mattress for sex, but they're just the best mattress to get a good night's sleep.
And before I got this mattress, I had my other mattress for over 10 years.
Plus, Helix not only ships to you very, what, Daddy?
Quickly.
Some scissors or...
Oh my God! I got it.
And when you're ready to really let it inflate, do not try this at home. What do you do, Daddy?
Ooh, it's the opposite of a vacuum rack. It goes, ready? It's eating me! Whoa!
If you've ever bought a mattress, there is that nagging sensation of ooh, is this the right mattress for me? I don't know if I like this. So we especially like that they have what, Daddy?
100-night sleep trial.
So over 3 months for free that you get to try it out.
And don't forget, Helix has a 10-year warranty.
And they even offer financing options and flexible payment plans. So,
If you go to Helix Sleep today and use offer code WAT, and you'll get 20% off your own Helix mattress and 2 free pillows on us. The next question from Stefan or Stefan, it's with an F and then an A-N. How would you
Are they from Europe or US?
I don't know.
If it's Europe, it's Stefan.
The next question from, just because I know you love the etymology of phrases and words, where do you think the term bear was first used? That has nothing to do with today's episode, but back in the 1980s, gay men in San Francisco Bay Area called themselves bears, met informally at bear hugs, aka sex parties.
Plot twist.
It does have to do with today's episode.
I was there. I remember this.
But the etymology was first popularized by Richard Bulger.
Richard Bulger.
Did you know him too?
I did.
Oh. who, along with his then partner Chris Nelson, founded the Bear magazine in 1987.
I used to work for Bear magazine. I directed all the Brush Creek Media films.
And George Mazai wrote an article for The Advocate in 1979 called Who's Who in the Zoo, which characterized 7 different types of gay men, including bears.
Grr.
Boom! Etymology. Or how about from Orc, who asks, what is the communication style about safe sex? Only PrEP, a combination of PrEP condoms. Like, how do we navigate these realms which are very sex positive and sometimes have sex?
Well, it's interesting because that has changed over time. And like at Darklands, they were handing out condoms. I don't know anyone who uses them yet. They should, because there's other STDs. However, everyone now is kind of on their own to prevent any STDs that they get. You have to take the self-care.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, they weren't handing out condoms. They were condom butlers. At Darklands, they have little trays, and they're just like, would you like a condom? Would you like a condom? And I appreciate that. I always talk about it as safer sex. There's no such thing as 100% safe sex. Even when you're using condoms, even when you're on PrEP, there are still ways in which you can spread germs, and I think that we have to approach the topic that way. That said, people are absolutely on PrEP, and some people are even going on Doxy now.
And now U equals U is a thing.
Where people that are undetectable, that means they have a cocktail that makes it so there's no HIV that they can transfer, are untransmittable.
That's a drug cocktail, not a drink cocktail, by the way.
Cheers to that. Cheers. Cheers. U equals U. Hey, wait, there's candy behind that cup. Hey, And right after that, actually, a question from Bo does cover Doxy-PEP, asking, expanding on PrEP and safer sex, any new conversations about Doxy-PEP? Certain STIs are running rampant in the adult industry, even with our frequent testing practices, and it's paused my desire to attend events like these, or for having sex at all. Have you seen an increase in testing? Honestly, I went and gotten tested before the last 3 events that we went to. I mentioned what kind of events I was going to, and my sex positive doctor says, I'm putting you on Doxy-PEP. And then I said, what the f*** is that?
And I have been on Doxy-PEP for over a year, and I haven't had an STI since.
It's like the morning after pill, but when it comes to STIs, is it 100% effective? No, but it does reduce the contraction of some STIs from 80 to 70%, which is still better in most books. And it's you take 2 pills pretty much, within 72 hours after having sex to just reduce the risk of catching like gonorrhea, syphilis, and it does work really well. So go talk to don't ask, go to your doctor.
Hopefully your doctor is sex positive and you can talk to him about these things.
And if they're not, show them this video. Hey doctors, don't give your patients any crock of. Make sure they're prescribed proper medication that helps them to have sex positive lives that are successful. PubMed probably asks one of the most important questions if you're doing any sort of butt stuff, and they ask, cleaning out guide and best practices for traveling to an event. Also, gear to real clothing ratio? Well, the first part of that question.
So people travel with all sorts of things to clean out with, from water bottle douches to shower cap douches.
What now?
Shower cap?
Like funnels. Double check what your hotel, if you're traveling to an event, has within their bathroom. We just went to Darklands, and our hotel had the shower like nozzles that you can kind of take off, and then you just squeeze on one of your shower shot hoses and you're good to go.
So just pack a nozzle with you. I also know people who have taken entire diverter kits and
a
wrenches to unscrew this. I don't recommend that. You could fuck up the shower.
Please don't ruin the hotel room,
Yeah.
okay? Because that ruins the event or
Yeah.
convention or whatever is happening for everybody.
And they make all sorts of travel-sized douches.
What'd you call me?
Travel-sized douche.
But how about the real question that's being asked there? The gear to real clothing ratio. If you're going to an event like an international leather event of any kind, you're gonna be so naked most of the time in the fun spaces. Bring one formal outfit, but maybe like something that also works as maybe somewhat undressed.
No. See, this is where we differ.
No.
Because sometimes doing leather takes gear, which takes up this
You don't
much.
need 3 pairs of boots.
This much. This is one outfit, and it weighs about 80 pounds.
Wear the jacket on the plane, get boots that are smaller, wear those on the plane. There are important and very respectable ways that you can make sure all your stuff's packed properly in a carry-on.
So some of us need larger bags.
No, some of us need smaller wardrobes. Just for the event. Hats off to you if you can travel in one bag. And then plenty of questions asking about the general attendees and attendance at these kinds of events. The first from Fun Size Lizardman, who asks, are there a lot of young people at the big events like that? In my early 20s and would love to attend, but always felt very expensive and hard to reach. As well as Hannah, who asks, are there more women and non-binary folks showing up to these events?
Yeah, actually.
There you go, answered it.
Actually, I feel like the crowd's getting younger and younger every year.
There's less and less bars as they close down, but also these events are getting younger and younger people that are helping to organize and run. And if you're having a hard time with expenses, try volunteering. A lot of events will help their volunteers to make sure they can attend, and sometimes even have room situations that they will allow the volunteers to share.
You can do sex conventions on the cheap as well. You don't always have to be in the host hotel.
Yeah, there's Airbnbs you can rent with friends. There are so many more than just the cis white guys going to these events and helping to run the events. If you think that like International Mr. Leather or Mr. International Rubber can run without the non-binary, the more femme-presenting, and our trans like brothers and sisters, you're kidding yourself. Mistress Leather, main dealers of leather in this city at least, all of the head designers, the people making the actual puppy hoods, are more femme-identified people. The men would not have the gear.
We'd be naked.
Well, and you wouldn't look as sexy without those straps. And actually, we taught a class at a furry convention. It was a pet play class. It was an adult class. But there were so many questions about more femme-identified pups and more trans-identified pets. And if they were allowed in those spaces, absolutely, of course.
And they are allowed, and the more that show up, the more representation you get.
And the more and more that we have, it's easy to look at Twitter and just be like,
Oh, puppy play is just for guys.
no, it's just a lot more saturated, and I'm sorry for that. You're all welcome. Please join us in the events. Come on down, get involved. Scruffy Boy asked, what's the general atmosphere like? Is it similar to like a farmer's market, a flea market, that people just browse around, but it's all sexy and stuff?
Yeah, well, it just depends on the convention because yes, when you're walking around the vendor hall, that's kind of like a farmer's market. You're looking at cows, you're looking at bears, you're looking at things you want to milk. But at night, things do get turned into dance parties and contests and sexy spaces. So it changes over the course of a day.
I used to help to run anime conventions, and the people that you see and the kind of vibe that you get there is so similar to a kink convention, which now we vend and attend all the time, which is also very similar to furry conventions. It's just a matter of different spaces and different ages, obviously, depending on the demographic, but the vibe, the energy, the sense of community and just wanting to find like-minded people is absolutely the same. During the day, you have classes and panels, and at night you have dances and more fun, sexy time if it's a little bit more adult.
And all conventions have that vibe because people are just so happy to be able to be themselves with other people.
And speaking of panel, Dami then asks, what events and panels are usually at sex or kink conventions? Which ones have we taught, Daddy?
Oh my God. How to teach a pet player, BDSM, but he's doing social media.
How do you do social media as a sex positive person?
Rope bondage classes, impact play, and even an electro one.
So if you'd like to have us at your local convention, just let us know. We have a booking page on our website. I'm not kidding. If we can teach a class, we love being involved. But I've also seen some really good classes on like how to deal with trauma or getting through a breakup or how to date poly people. It really is just kind of a reflection of the community in your area or at the specific insert topic of convention. As long as you are an expert on something, you'll probably find that there are people teaching that class on it, especially if it's kinks.
And they have spaces for AA and sober safe spaces for people who want that.
This safe space is brought to you by Hugs. And today's sponsor, Helix Sleep. And on to the next questions, where a lot of you guys were all curious about how do you find all the information for the events and where they're happening and when they're happening.
Hopefully from their website, although that is not always the case.
I find that being on social media absolutely helpful. Getting involved in your local organizations, lots of Facebook groups exist locally for the men of leather, the women of leather, the pup groups, every group that could exist. I would get involved there so you start networking. And besides watching some of our lovely content, because we do vlogs every once in a while, we give you guys updates from what we're doing on our podcast all the time, I want to do a shout out to and call out to the events and ask why they're not all retweeting and sharing each other's events. I feel like so often all these events are butting heads when they're supposed to be about community, y'all. So why are we not making it more accessible and sharing the events, even if they're in other parts of this, like the same state, especially if they're in other parts of the year? Like,
or as you kids like to say, collab. Why don't they collab? They could collab.
Events
more.
collabing. I just wish that there was a lot more camaraderie there. And if you're really here for the community and doing event stuff, you should be sharing other events that you believe in and think is doing good in the community.
No, you're right, because the same people go to the same events. So if they cross-promoted, it would help get the word out more.
So we just went to a kinky convention where I saw an old friend that I used to see back in the day at the anime conventions, and then they were also at the furry convention. Like,
oh no, I saw several.
There's so many people that go to all these events, so we're already going. And if we see y'all being nice to each other and talking well, that makes us believe that the conventions are actually collaborating, working together, making the community a better place.
And while that being said, a lot of these events are going to have to get better with their social media.
Shade. But true. Some of y'all need a dedicated social media person. We see it because we'll tag you in things and we'll never see any engagement
anything.
from you guys ever.
No engagement.
Just saying. Also, follow us on social media. And last but not least, Pup Denali asks, how do you deal with event drop and coming down from the emotional high of a big event? Every class that we teach, we always talk about aftercare, and we equate that with event drop, because coming down with all those endorphins can be a really heavy feeling.
Yeah, you're missing your friend, you're missing the event where you felt like you were safe and kinky and no one cared or judged you for it, and it can be hard. I take the day off when I come back and I just curl up in my Helix Sleep mattress.
Taking a day off to let your body recoup and recover, especially if you're traveling, and making sure you take your vitamins, wear those masks in between traveling, and just take all your meds to make sure that you're staying healthy.
Yeah, because staying up late nights, lack of food, lack of sleep, travel, wears your body out. So take some time to give yourself some good nutrition.
We went to a rave at the furry convention and it was wild. Feral even.
Well, first, I haven't heard the word rave since the 90s.
Oh, the furries love raves. Oh my god. I just don't know how they do it in those fursuits. It's so hot.
Was it a rave?
Give me your best rave dance. And rave.
Boy, 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 boy.
Is that when you're trying to get a boy's attention?
Boy, 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 boy. Is that working? Is that turning you on?
Whether you're getting action in the dark room or action on the rave dance floor, though, always have a safe word, and today's safe word is...
Balenciaga!
Oh, thanks.
Just for you.
Balenciaga!
You are Balenciaga, Frodo.
Is that like a fashion brand?
If you understand the reference to Balenciaga, leave that in the comments down below, or just ask more questions. We'll be in there answering them.
Is it like Chanel?
Hulk smash while Balenciaga fashion lasts.
Leave a like if you really enjoyed this video. Let's get this like to 5,000. Dude, I feel like people don't ask for likes anymore.
We are this close to 300,000 followers.
I know, and
this
please
close.
Don't forget
Please
to
follow
subscribe.
us. We're so close
We're
to 300,000.
So close.
And if you like ringing bells, ring that bell down below.
And we will see y'all next time. Bye. And hats off to our sponsor today, Helix Sleep. Thank you guys for always being a wonderful sponsor, keeping the lights on.
Thank you, Helix Sleep. So what would you give this video? Like a DEFCON 1 or DEFCON 4?
A Balenciaga out of furry conventions.
Well, if we try to tell me what it is.
No, that's it. Have you ever Beauty and the Beast? Try the gray stuff, it's delicious. It's a line that the candelabra sings in Beauty and the Beast.
The what?
The gray stuff.
What's the gray stuff?
I'll tell you when you're older. Balenciaga!